Hey, if y'all were keeping your head on a swivel yesterday, there was a clip that started making its way around the Twitter sphere, and there is a long conversation between Shannon Sharpe and A1 Johnny Manziel on the Club Shay Shay podcast. Shannon Sharpe, I think he's awesome. I think he's entertaining. I think he asks good questions. He's obviously got great guests. And in the Club Shay Shay podcast, Johnny Manziel talks about a deal that his dad, unbeknownst to Johnny Manziel, tried to broker with then Texas A&M head coach Kevin Sumlin to keep Johnny Manziel in College Station for 2 more years. And the way that Johnny Manziel tells it, he says he went to Kevin Sumlin and said, give us $3 million and we will come back to Texas A&M for 2 more seasons. Okay, so again, he said he never found out about this. But then Shannon Sharpe was like, whoa, this is all before NIL, right? And Johnny Manziel's like, yeah, it was. It's a back room kind of thing. He goes, but that's the way it's been going for 30 to 40 years. And he went on to say this is kind of where it got a little bit more spice to it. He says, everyone around the country, if you're competing for a national title, you have a bagman. He mentions there was a bagman at Alabama, mentions there's a bagman at LSU. And here's the thing, I don't think anybody was shocked hearing Johnny Manziel say something like that. That's kind of been the narrative, whether you believe it or not, that's been the narrative around college football for the course of the last several decades, is players were always somehow, some way getting paid. Players were always some way, somehow getting something for their commitment. What percentage of players? I don't know, but that was always a thought behind it, especially when a kid ended up flipping at the last minute or whenever a kid went somewhere we thought he wasn't going to go. Oh, he's getting paid. True or not, these things, according to Johnny Manziel, were happening. So first off, I want to say this. It was against the rules at that point in time. The rules are the rules. You have to play within the rules. If it's against the rules and it's wrong, we disagree with it. Okay, so that's kind of what college football was for a period of time. We didn't agree with the rule itself, but just because a rule is dumb doesn't mean that you can't not follow it. All right, so that's kind of where we stand on that. But with that being said, I was really surprised by the kickback that Kevin Sumlin caught from this whole thing. Because I think if I'm an A&M fan, my first thought would be, okay, it's against the rules, but it's Johnny Manziel. He just won the Heisman Trophy. Coach, $3 million? And Shannon Sharpe and Johnny Manziel kind of went back and forth on this, saying A&M, they would have been good for it. And Shannon Sharpe, the way that he said it, he's like, A&M, they got the big dogs. And it's true, man. If you see those Aggie rings that the good folks from College Station that graduate from there wear around, they would tell you the same thing. There's big money in College Station, Texas. There's big name boosters, big dollar boosters that could have made this happen. And so I think it's kind of interesting to see the folks that are like, Coach, come on, you couldn't have coughed up $3 million to keep my guy Johnny Manziel in College Station and run it back for another year, another 2 years, according to what he said. That was just hysterical to me. Again, it's wrong, but if I'm an A&M fan, I'd probably feel that exact same way. That's the exact same thought I probably would have around this whole thing. But going back to the NIL conversation, this to me just further illuminates the fact that NIL is a good thing. And this isn't me going to bat for NIL or collectives or anything like that, but just from a moral standpoint, Johnny Manziel was getting $700 when it comes to what his stipend was at A&M, according to Johnny Manziel, $700. A&M was making $45 million in revenue just from selling his jersey. I'll say this, you don't buy a jersey because you like the way it looks. You buy the jersey because you like the player that it represents. So Johnny Manziel is making $45 million in revenue, seeing 0% of that, taking home $700. I'm just saying, man, I think if you have an issue with NIL, you look at this story and say, okay, there has to be some context provided here. There has to be a little bit of margin provided here when we evaluate if NIL is good or bad. NIL is a good thing based on this story. For Johnny Manziel to see $0 when he's making $45 million in revenue just from jersey sales, not to mention what the Heisman Trophy brought to A&M, not to mention the just exposure he brought to A&M and all the football games they won while he was there. If you have an issue with NIL after hearing this, I don't know what to tell you. The fact that we're able to regulate this a little bit more now, the fact that we have more of this happening above the board, I think that's a great thing. It's a great thing. And this Johnny Manziel situation, I think, speaks to that perfectly. Side note, it's not what this show is about, not what this segment is about, but we see something like this happen and Reggie Bush doesn't have his Heisman. Let's use common sense here. I understand that's asking a lot of the powers that be at certain points to use common sense when it comes to, giving someone back an award that they won and now we're paying players. Let's use common sense. Let's get Reggie Bush his Heisman back. But I digress. If you got an issue with NIL after hearing that, I don't know what to tell you. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.